Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of Burn, Nick, and quite honestly, I'm getting this episode done down to the wire. It is Thursday evening, and it has been a particularly busy week for me, and I did not think I was going to be able to get an episode done for Friday. I was literally panicking and thinking I was going to have to do another rewind, which I don't want to do, but here I am, and you got me for something. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. I don't know how much crossover there necessarily is between my audience and the Cigar Authority audience. I do know there's some. So for those of you who do listen to the Cigar Authority, you'll be aware of this. But for those of you who don't, they have, for a variety of reasons, had trouble getting cigar reviews done for their website here lately. Lately meaning this year. And so they have allowed some of their care package members to get samples and do cigar reviews for their website. And there's a group of, I think, about 40 of us, and I am part of it. And, you know, I need to get my review done for this month. So this being the first time that I'm doing it, I figure, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it kind of, sort of, on the show. I mean, the way it works is they send you two of the same cigar. It is unbanded. So I have two of whatever this is. For those of you on YouTube, you can see it. For those of you who are not, I would guesstimate that it is, I don't know how. Well, I could cheat. I could totally cheat. I've got other cigars sitting here, and I could totally compare the size with another cigar sitting here that I know the size. But I would guesstimate that it's probably not quite 6 inches, and it kind of feels like it's probably a 50 to a 52 ring gauge, maybe, something like that. Nice lighter brown, medium brown kind of color. It's not a Maduro by any means. Definitely not a Connecticut. I would guesstimate maybe some sort of a sun-grown or a Habano or something like that going on here. It's also round, which, that's good. I don't like the box pressed all that much. But anyway, it came with a letter. And then from there, we are going to kind of just dive into this. The way they want you to do it, they sent two of them. So the first one, I think you kind of just smoke it and get initial thoughts. The second one, you really dive deep. So I have two of them. This is going to be the first time I'm smoking this. That way I can really focus and concentrate on the actual review. So, the letter. We appreciate your participation in our new cigar review team at the Cigar Authority. They've been dedicated to reviewing cigars. They've done over 2,000 different varieties. Blah, 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 blah. Good cigar is characterized by a proper burn and draw, while personal preferences regarding strength and flavors may vary. However, such preferences should not impact the rating of a cigar. Our reviews aim to determine whether a cigar is good, great, or exceptional and identify flavor notes. By providing this information, we assist other cigar smokers in making informed decisions about whether to try a particular cigar or explore alternatives. Cigar enthusiasts have always shown interest in cigar tasting reviews, and we believe this journey will be enjoyable for you. While it may be a job for me, I take it seriously, and I hope you do too. During cigar reviews, it is critical to devote undivided attention, as multitasking is not feasible. You may experience the same as you embark on this journey, especially in the beginning. However, over time, your tasting skills will improve, your palate will develop, and you will gain extensive knowledge about tobacco that you never anticipated. Eventually, you'll be able to identify the countries of origin and even factories where the cigars were produced. Welcome to an exciting and new journey as a valued member of the Cigar Authority Tasting Panel. Sincerely, Dave. Anyway, so I'm giving this a shot, and so I'm going to go ahead and get ready. Now, I am sitting out here in the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios on on my patio. Of course, it would be windy. I looked at the weather, and the weather indicated that all the storms in the area were done. Let me take one more quick look. Looks like about 6 miles per hour. And yeah, there's literally no rain in the forecast whatsoever. It is cloudy, but there is no rain in the forecast whatsoever. So hopefully I will not be rained on. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and get the cigar going? I'll talk about my week, and I'll kind of get some initial thoughts on the cigar, and we'll kind of go from there. So, time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by Dan the Man Ponder over there at Riverman Cigar Company of Crestwood, Missouri. Guys, Dan the Man Ponder, he's starting to get in all kinds of great stuff from PCA. He's also starting to get in some other stuff that he's ordered. Specifically, I did see a post just earlier saying that the 2023 Los Calaveras from Crown Heads have landed at Riverman Cigar Company. So he not only has a couple of different sizes, I believe, in boxes, but I know he has a sampler size or a sampler box that has the fourth limited size that's only available in the sampler. So you can get your hands on the 2023 Las Calaveras from Crown Heads by giving Dan the Man Ponder a call, because he does do mail order if you're not in the St. Louis area. But if you are in the St. Louis area, just swing on by, say hi, sit out, have a cigar outside if it's not too muggy, which realistically it's probably too muggy, but you know what? He's got that great lounge in the back, so you can say hi to Miss Cindy and Dan the Man and all the rest over there at Riverman Cigar Company. And with that, it's time that I go ahead and cut my cigar. I'm going to get this going here because realistically, I do not know what my timeline here is for this episode. So guys, let me tell you a little bit about my week as we get going here. Before we do that, let's get the cigar all done, and then I'll get into that. So, cold draw time on the mysterious cigar that I received from the Cigar Authority. I mean, Group 1C. For those of you, the other 39 of you that are out there that are doing this, if you happen to listen, then if you're in Group 1C, then you'll know that we smoke the same cigar. I don't know. There's kind of I don't know. I will admit I'm unprepared. I did not have the flavored note, the flavor wheel in front of me for this episode, so I don't have the flavor wheel to stop and analyze as I do this. It's not. It's not like it's earthy or barnyardy or anything like that. It's not hay. I maybe I'm overthinking, and that's the problem. I might be overthinking this. It's maybe a little bready. Maybe a little bready. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go with bready. I could be way wrong. But I want to get this cigar going here. So, get this guy lit. And then we can get into talking about all kinds of fun stuff here. So like I said, definitely windy out here. So I'm going to have to take that into account for burn structure. My flame kept blowing away from the cigar, so I had to keep turning it. Anyway, so initial thought. Initial thought is there's maybe just a hint of some sort of a pepper or spice that's dancing at the back of the throat off the initial couple draws. So whereas the The cold draw experience, I didn't really have any sort of like spice or anything like that coming through. On the smoking experience, once lit up, there's definitely some spice component that's kind of present on the back of the throat, that we go from there. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what I'm dealing with here, so I guess we will see how this goes. Anyway, so this week has been my week to have my son for a week in the summer. And so I picked him up on Monday, and we have been spending all kinds of time together. Part of the reason I'm recording this so late tonight, on Thursday, is because I had to wait until he sacked out so that I could sneak out here and get on the patio and do this while he was asleep. And I don't talk a whole lot about him because realistically I want to keep some things private, and whatever. But it's just been a really good week. He's just been in such a great mood, and we got a pool pass to the local, city pool, and so I think of the 4 days so far that I've had him, 2 of them we've gone up there and hung out at the pool for a while. Something tells me that for the remaining 3 days that I have him, we're going to do the same, assuming there's no storms. Today there were storms, but we waited until after they were over, and I knew he was ready to go up there when he came into the living room and had changed out of his clothes and put on his swimsuit. So he was pretty much pushing hard to the hoop for the swimming. But I got to admit, coming into this week, I was stressed. I was stressed because I didn't have a lot planned. I didn't have, a solid itinerary of all kinds of things that we could go and do. I had a few general ideas, but I didn't have like a solid list of like, okay, these, on this day we're going to do this, and on this day we're going to do this. And it's kind of just been flowing by ear. And it's one of those things where I think I definitely overthought it. I was panicking because I wanted to keep a 7-year-old entertained, and what I didn't count on was just how much he would just enjoy hanging out and just hanging out. So we've had a good time. He went with me on my deliveries to deliver the newspapers on Wednesday. So, I obviously didn't get any smoking time in the car, during that trip like I normally would, but that's okay. That's the way it goes. I would much rather spend time with him than fire up a bunch of cigars in the car. But no, it's been a really pleasant few days. We've got plans tomorrow to go and aside from hit the pool, we're gonna see some fireworks tomorrow night, so that'll be fun. And yeah, it's just been a really fun week. But like I said, because that was going on, I had every intention of trying to get Tuesday's episode and then this episode done prior to picking him up on Monday. And, I got Tuesday's episode done, so I had to figure out how to get this episode done. And so here we are. We are smoking this cigar from the Cigar Authority pack. I will say, again, I could be being overly critical. I don't know. My draw is maybe just a little on the tight side. I did a straight cut on the cap. I'm going to kind of watch it, and if it stays on the tighter side, I might give it a secondary V cut to kind of open it up a little bit. This wind is problematic, and that's going to have to be something that I make note of on my review, that the first time I smoked it, there was a breeze because it is causing a ever so slight wave in the burn line. But I will say, even with that wind, if you look at the majority of the burn line, it's actually really pretty tight. So I think if it weren't for that wind, I think the smoke production would be a lot better, and I think the burn line itself would be a lot better. Wow. Hmm. There's definitely a presence of a little bit of pepper on the smoking experience. Again, I wish I would have had that flavor note wheel, so that, and I'll have to do that when I smoke the second one. So far, though, I would smoke this again. Granted, I'm maybe an inch into it at best. Probably not even, maybe half an inch into it. So, it's way too early to tell, but it's not a bad cigar off the bat. Um, so, and and the fact that I'm thinking that it might be a little tight, that may have more to do with the fact that I pulled it out of the humidor right before we did it, or I sat down to do the show, because I didn't know what I was going to be smoking until down to the wire, and so otherwise I would have let it sit out for maybe an hour to 2 hours. Because and that's the other thing. Ambient air right now, it's humid as fuck in St. Louis. So I'm sitting outside and it is humid. In fact, I actually was able to briefly sit outside last night and have a cigar, and that cigar was actually going out when I was like not smoking it directly, when it was just sitting in the ashtray. It was actually starting to go out because of there was so much humidity in the air that it was effectively like dampening and putting out the cigar. So yeah, it's been nasty here in St. Louis here lately. So environment is definitely playing a role in the smoking experience. So maybe hindsight being 2020, I should have waited to smoke these both indoors someplace, taken them to Riverman or gone somewhere else so that I could have a better smoking experience with it. But whatever, such is life. I mean, theoretically, the people that buy these from Two Guys are going to smoke them on a golf course or something else. So I mean, they're going to have environmental issues to deal with as well. So I don't know. Anyway. Um, so some of you in the group chat have been discussing Pulpit Fest. Once again, as has become a annual tradition, it seems, everybody is spreading wild, rampant rumors about all this extravagant shit that I am going to be purchasing for everybody. And just for those of you who are new to Pulpit Fest and the concept of said thing, I don't do any of that. So just know that really what Pulpit Fest is it's just an organized 2-day Friday Saturday deal where it's just an organized weekend where listeners can come together, hang out, smoke cigars, and have a good time. It's not an organized thing where we have guests of honor and dinners and speeches and prizes. I mean, look, in years past, some of our sponsors have provided some goodies for people at Pulpit Fest. I would hope that would be the case again this year. I need to touch base with them, but realistically, it's casual. It's a casual thing. Because the thing is, some of you interact in the parishioners group or in the group chat and things of that nature, and so it's an opportunity for you to kind of meet the person that you're communicating with online. But yeah, it's don't expect me buying blocks of rooms, and there's been talk of a party bus and a golf thing, and there was even something about strippers, and I definitely am not. For those of you who are bringing your wives or whatever, I'm not providing strippers. Now if you guys want to go find strippers, that's on you. I mean, that's on you. I don't have the money for strippers. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. Now, for those of you who are interested in Pulpit Fest, it is Friday, September 22nd, and Saturday, September 23rd. We're going to be hitting up a couple of different locations here in the greater St. Louis and St. Louis metro area. Plans are still kind of to be determined, but you can expect cigars and a good time. So if you are interested in that, hit me up. There is I can give you recommendations on hotel rooms and things of that nature, but realistically, it's a big get together. It's a big herf. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, mark it on your calendar. In terms of the ash on this cigar, I would say that it is kind of it's not a dark gray, but it's not necessarily a lighter gray, but it's holding together so well. It's very, very solid. So I am really pleased with that. I did just ash it so that I could avoid a party foul. I'm going to touch up that one side because, again, it is windy. I'm not blaming the cigar because the rest of the cigars burn really, really well. So I'm going to say that it's the wind. Very slight little hole, like void kind of hole going. If you're on YouTube, you can see it on the inside there. So hopefully that doesn't impact the draw. Doesn't seem to have. Hopefully that also goes away relatively quickly. I've said it before on the show, and I'll say it again. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just a leaf of tobacco that is burning quicker than other things, or if in the rolling process there was something, but I've noticed it a lot more post-COVID. Pre-COVID, I don't even remember if I ever noticed it. Post-COVID, I began noticing it quite a bit, and it's definitely it's across the board. It's not any one brand in particular. There was one brand in the very beginning when I noticed it that it was particularly egregious on, and I have not smoked anything in that particular line since then, because quite frankly they were a little on the expensive side, and I didn't want to continually keep buying expensive cigars. I'm getting attacked by moths. And for those of you on the YouTube, you may have just seen me like looking down and doing something. Well, I just nuked a moth and got a giant dust spot on my shirt. Anyway, because I've got the ring light going, because it is now dark. It has gotten dark. But anyway, so what else? I just had something that I was gonna bring up, and for the life of me, it just disappeared because I was talking about the moths. Anyway, why don't we go ahead and get into this? Speed this up. This is probably not going to be the longest episode ever. So, because I'll be honest, this week, I've been so focused on my son, I don't have much. So the bulk of what I was going to do was review this cigar.
We all need to live united, but one must go. Brought to you by United Cigars, makers of La Giana Havana, Abuelo, Red Anchor, Firecracker, and of course, United Cigars. Distributors of Jose Dominguez, Garofalo, Montosa, and Terra Nova, and the highly acclaimed Atabey, Byron, and Bandolero. Buy United, Smoke United, Live United, United Cigars.
I will say this thing is kicking off more smoke now. I think it's kind of opened up, so I don't know if there was a slight thing causing an issue that maybe I've burned past, or if maybe it's just kind of like gotten used to the environment. But it's seemingly smoking a little better. I will say, as I smoke it, there's one little spot that just continually keeps wanting to, it's straight, mountain, straight, here, I don't know if, there we go. You can see it there on the YouTube. it's just one little spot. Otherwise, the burn line is like super straight, aside from that one little thing. So I'm going to attribute that to the wind, but I'm going to watch the second one when I smoke it to see what happens there, because, maybe it's a situation where it is the cigar and I'm blaming the wind needlessly. Once again, duh. I keep looking at myself in the YouTube here, and, angle-wise, my damn tripod broke again, and I swear, it pisses me off, because I just bought this tripod earlier this year. It was not cheap, as far as tripods go, and I thought it was going to be a nice one, and, the damn thing broke, and of course, I don't have the box, and I don't have the receipt for it anymore, because why would I? So I don't know what I'm even going to do about it, but it just pisses me off. You can't buy anything nice anymore. But anyway, because of that, the tripod is not angled in such a way that I normally would, and so I'm getting the awesome chin gullet going on here, and it got me thinking that I need to break out my jazzercise again. I've got this thing. For those of you who are interested, it's called the jazzercise, and it's a device that you put in your mouth and just basically bite down on it, and it exercises the jaw muscles. You can get them on Amazon for anywhere between $20 and $30, I think. But they do work over time. So I need to find mine and break it out and start doing that again, because this I need to get this kind of trained back up. Anyway, One Must Go. It is time for the One Must Go, which is brought to you by United Cigars, and United Cigars, from all accounts, had a pretty fantastic PCA. Looking forward to trying a variety of things from United Cigars coming out later this year. So I went into the Cigar Pulpit Parishioners chat through the Parishioners group page, and I will say, which, by the way, for those of you who are part of the Parishioners group, if you want in on it, it's the Broke Ass Hose free chat. That's the name of the group. But anyway, I asked for some suggestions for One Must Go segments, because I've been using the cards lately and whatever. I don't necessarily like being the one to pick the One Must Go, because obviously right off the bat I have the answer, and then it becomes less of a thing. So I asked everybody their opinions, and I am going to go with the most recent one as I read this. I'm just going to start there, and I'll go back. So listener Steven writes in and says, lighters, cutters, or ashtrays? One must go. And, it's a simple one, because obviously ashtrays is the answer, but you just feel like a savage when you don't have a proper ashtray. I went and grabbed my ashtray before I started this. I had everything set up. I was all ready to go, had the headset on. I was ready to hit record. And then I realized that I did not have my ashtray. And I didn't want to do this without a proper ashtray. I could have very easily just ashed on the patio and let the wind take it. But I didn't want to do that. Part of which, because the ash is something to take note of for the review. But then also, I just feel like an animal doing that. And so I didn't want to do that. And so I went and grabbed my ashtray. But if one had to go, that would obviously be the one to go, because you need fire and you need to cut your cigar. I suppose you could always bite the end off of it. I'm not a fan of that. I will never do that if I can avoid it. It's just one of those things. And I guess there's alternative ways of getting fire other than a lighter. You could use matches. You could use all sorts of different, combustible products, I suppose, whatever. But why? Why make your life hard? The ashtray is the easiest one to get rid of, because, you can ash in damn near anything that's a disposable receptacle. I mean, I know, for example, when I am driving, oftentimes if I have a car ashtray, but for whatever reason, sometimes it's full and I don't have anywhere to dump it because I won't just dump it out my window. I'm not a savage. So if it's full and I need to dump it, then oftentimes what I'll do is I'll use a fast food cup, and I'll just have a little bit of liquid, or even better, if there's still ice left in there, like maybe you finished your beverage and there's just ice in the cup, just ash on that, and then over time the ice will melt. It'll provide that liquid layer, and you just make that nice cup of sludge that you can dispose of later. So I'm gonna go ashtray on that one.
The One Must Go segment was brought to you by United Cigars. United we smoke.
Thank you, listener Steven. I appreciate the assist there. So what I have noticed is the wrapper on this cigar, it doesn't quite, I don't know, maybe I'm talking too long, but it doesn't quite want to seem like it wants to stay caught up with the inside, with the filler. But again, it could be that I'm just talking too long. I will say, the draw on it, continues to be really good. I'm getting like more of a baker spice kind of this situation as I'm going into I'm about at the halfway point of it. There's a little bit of a baker spice thing. I'm going to attempt a retrohale here. I've thought about doing it, but I didn't announce it beforehand, and since I'm the only one here, you guys would just hear that much longer bit of silence. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt a retrohale. Wow. Okay. There's some pepper to that, but there's something else, and I'm going to need that flavor wheel because there's something that is definable there that I need to prompt my memory to see if I can identify. But there is something else to the retrohale there. I mean, so far, I have no issues with this cigar. I think it's great. I'm digging it. It's tasting fine. It's smoking well. There is that little bit of breeze that's coming through that I do think is kind of jacking with the smoking experience. Did not plan on wind this evening. For this episode. It's not something I planned on. Also didn't plan on all the bugs. Should have. My ring light is attracting a lot of insects, and I did not anticipate that. But anyway, why don't we now go ahead and get into the Villiger Entertainment segment, and that's brought to you by Villiger Cigars. Villiger Cigars, guys, super great. You're going to want to try them. The 1888 Nicaragua was just announced PCA. Fantastic cigar. Really, really looking forward to smoking the other Vitolas that Renee was kind enough to send me. Also really looking forward to firing up that Miami Toro that he sent me. All ones that I want to smoke and truly enjoy and kind of dive into. Not ones that I want to just smoke quickly. So I haven't gotten around to them yet, but I will. And if you want to get your hands on some Villiger cigars, head on over to Villiger's website, check out the store locator, find a store near you that carries them, and get yourself some. You're not going to regret it. They're super good. Villiger Cigars. What have I been watching this week? I would say I have been watching a shit ton of Storybots. It has been pretty much all Storybots all the time since I recorded the last episode. My son loves Storybots, and for those of you with little kids, my son is 7, just for clarification. For those of you with little kids, if you haven't checked out Ask the Storybots on Netflix, give it a shot. It's actually pretty educational. The long and short of it is, a little kid asks these little robots that live in your computer a question, and then they have to go out in the world and find the answer, and then that's how they dive into various topics. One episode that my son particularly loves is, how do we get electricity? And it starts off with them going to an electronics store and learning about outlets and the wires in the wall and then the power lines. And then they go to a power plant where they learn about generators and turbines and things of that nature. But then eventually it breaks it down to where they're in an atom and they're talking to a neutron. And the neutron is telling them all about how, in an atom there has to be an equal number of protons and electrons. And if an electron leaves, the atom gets agitated. Well, the generator causes the flow of electrons to continually happen, throughout all the different atoms that are there. And the long and short of it is that flow of that flow of electrons is electricity. And so, over the course of this episode, you learn all about. And again, it's very simple. It's broken down for a child to understand it. But there's one about, how you get a cold. So you learn all about how a virus infects your body, how your body fights it with white blood cells, things of that nature, things you can do to fight off a cold. There's one about, how volcanoes are formed. I mean, there's some really great ones that on a variety of different topics that your kids might be interested in. So for what it's worth, if you're looking for something that's fun and educational for your children, Ask the Storybots on Netflix is not the end of the world. Noah would be upset with me. I have still not watched the most recent episode of The Righteous Gemstones. He messaged me about that the other day. I'm looking forward to that, but more than likely what's going to end up happening is I will probably wait for this Sunday's to take place, and then I'll just sit and watch two of them at once, because I do like binging more than I like the episodic nature of things. Like, I don't like that these streaming sites have gone to a system where every week a new episode is put out. I love it so much more when they just put the whole season out and you can just binge it if you'd like. But that's just me. What are you going to do? Anyway, what else have I been doing? If you're a comic book nerd, I've been catching up on a podcast called Robservations. It's hosted by Rob Liefeld, who was one of the guys who created Image Comics back in the 90s. He's the creator of Cable and Deadpool when he was working for Marvel and whatnot. And what I like about his show is that he gets into a lot of history of the industry and breaks down different topics, highlights different creators, things of that nature. But he really gets into the history. And, he's such a pack rat that he's got all these magazines, interview magazines from the 70s and 80s and whatnot, where they did long form interviews. They would sit down and talk for 2 hours and they would just transcribe the whole 2 hours, and suddenly you have a 30-page interview, with a creator about God knows what. And that's kind of cool. And that's something that we've definitely lost these days in media. But anyway, he's got all those. So he brings up topics from forever ago and has interviews from the guys that are involved in such stuff from forever ago that he can reference. And it's actually really, really neat. So, if you're a nerd and you like comic book stuff, that's a fun show. He can be a little frantic sometimes. He's a very energetic guy. I'll say that much. So sometimes listening to him can be like, whoa. But anyway, unlike this episode, which I feel is Dramamine, I'll just admit it. Anyway, so that's really what I've been doing. Back to the cigar as I've passed the halfway point on it. This is a really solid smoke. I'm very curious to find out what this is. My burn line issue has resolved itself. For those of you on the YouTube that are watching, look at that burn line. That is pretty much razor tight. That's about as straight as you can possibly get on a cigar. So the wind has kind of died down briefly here. I'm sure as I say that, it's going to start whipping through here again. But by that wind dying down, it has allowed my burn line to straighten out. It definitely has a great draw, and it's not a little smokestack. It's not one that's going to sit there and just smoke, in your hand. It basically puts out smoke when you smoke it, and otherwise it's just kind of there. But it's a good little cigar. I'm digging it, and I'm very curious as to what this is. Anyway, I would normally do the 3 cigars I've smoked and enjoyed this week. However, I haven't really had many cigars this week at all. And so because of that, I'm going to not do the official segment. I will say, I told you last night I came outside and had one. I had a Garofalo sun-grown Robusto from United Cigars. And it's such a fantastic cigar. And it's one that realistically at some point when I have 2 nickels to rub together, I would like to go ahead and get myself a box. Probably the Toro. I'm more of a Toro guy than a Robusto guy, but nonetheless, it's just such a great cigar. And I've had a couple of the other Garofalos. The Sun-Grown's my personal favorite, but that tends to also be, where my palate skews, so that shouldn't come as any sort of a surprise to anybody. But yeah, I did have that, and did I manage to? I managed to sneak out again the other day, but did I make note of it or? No, I did not. I did not make note of it, so I don't even remember what I had. I did manage to sneak out on Monday as well, and end my Monday with a cigar as well. But for the life of me, I couldn't tell you what that was. I didn't take a picture, didn't make a note, and so I can't tell you what it was. So apologize to whatever that was. Anyway, so with that, why don't we now learn a little bit about My Monthly Cigars. This would normally be the time that I give some information about My Monthly Cigars, but I've hired that out this week, so take it away.
My Monthly Cigars is a premium cigar subscription service. It comes in a variety of different size boxes at affordable prices. Use offer code PULPIT and get free shipping on your first box and 20% off any items in the online store at mymonthlycigars.com.
That's offer code PULPIT. Thanks! Did another retro hail during the ad there, and it's the pepper portion of it seems to have kind of dissipated. It could be either that it dissipated or maybe it was just stronger earlier and it kind of caught me off guard and I misidentified it. But there's definitely a specific component to the retrohale that I'm really curious to know. So the flavor wheel is going to be a vital tool for me when I sit down to smoke the second one and actually do the formal review. I do like the fact that Dave and the crew at the Cigar Authority are providing 2 of the same cigars so that you can kind of smoke one and get a general idea of it, and then the second one you can really dive down deep into the cigar and pick it apart. Because if I had to learn about it and focus on it at the same time, with only one sample, that might prove difficult. So I do see the value of having the second cigar. And I like the fact that they're doing this too, because, as they pointed out in the letter, it's not a matter of your personal preference. It's not a matter of, is it a cigar that, like, for example, I said that I don't care for box press. I'm not going to fault a cigar for being a box press cigar if that happens to come in the package, because that's my personal preference. But that's the way the cigar comes. So obviously, it is what it is. I smoke a lot of EP Carrillos, the various Pledge and Encore and whatever. Those are generally they're box pressed. They're not generally, they are box pressed, and so you kind of have to know going in that that's what you're going to deal with, and I don't mind. It's just what it is. So, yeah, personal opinion needs to be kind of left out and just kind of look at it clinically. Clinically, smoking this cigar for the first time, there's nothing bad that I can say about it. Is it maybe the best cigar I've ever smoked in my life? Probably not. But does that make it like a bad cigar? No, by no means. I've been working on a scoring sheet of my own to kind of, because one of the things that they do put on there is they do want us to put a numerical rating, and I'll admit I hate doing that, because it's kind of one of those things of like, if you rank something in 98, then that means there's only 2 points above that one. So that makes that, you got to establish a benchmark somewhere, and that's the problem. It's like, where do you set the limit? Where do you establish that benchmark? And for the life of me, I don't know. So I've been looking at review sheets that other people have assembled and put together. Nick Gervais has got himself a review sheet that he's kind of put together that I've looked at. So I'm trying to put together my criteria that I can add up and kind of come to a score that way. That way it's more of an equation and less of just plucking a number out of the sky, if that makes sense. But the rest of the review that the authority wants us to do, it's general, like, what flavor notes do you get in this third, and this third? How did the burn go? Would you smoke it again? Is it box worthy? Things of that nature. And so, that's all stuff that I can definitely speak to without any sort of criteria. And so far, I would 100% smoke this again, which is good because I have a second one that I have to smoke again. And would I buy a box of it? Depends on the price. Depends on what it is. Depends on the price. I mean, realistically, I'm doubting that this is like a $25 cigar. Maybe it is. And if it is, I don't know if I would buy a box of it if it were priced that high. Would I buy a box of it if it were a $10 cigar and it was a box of like 20 or 25? Maybe. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see. It depends. I'm going to give it that other second smoke and see what comes of that, and we'll see. Anyway, so in terms of the socials, I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit, as well as on Facebook, where I have the Facebook Cigar Pulpit Parishioners group. You can get in on that, and that also gets you into the Broke-Ass Host group chat that I was talking about earlier. I'm on Twitter, where I don't really do much of anything. YouTube, where you can watch this. This is not exactly the most riveting one to watch. However, if you want to kind of track out my burn line, I have been showing the camera my cigar, so you can do that. And otherwise, I need your calls for Ask the Boys. I currently have, I think, 3 or 4 calls for this month, so that is rapidly approaching. So guys, if you have questions, comments, concerns, whatever, get those in by calling area code 863-874-0000 and be a part of the show by calling the Ask the Boys hotline. Otherwise, I know it's not exactly been the most riveting episode. You've kind of just been along for the ride as I've done a little bit of homework. I hope that this hasn't been a complete waste of your commute, but it's one of those things. I was talking with the people in the group chat a little bit about it, and I really do value getting you guys new original content. When Paul was in town and we did that show, Paul flat out told me that a new episode with even just me by myself is preferable to a rewind. And so here you go, Paul. This is what you get. But yeah, it's something interesting. And I will say, once I establish my criteria sheet for this, I'm going to revisit this whole concept, this whole the cigar review concept. We'll revisit this on the show, and I'll kind of give you guys more insight into how that's going, and you can kind of be along for the ride for a review coming up once I get that sheet all finalized and everything too. And this is kind of the first little peek behind the curtain of this, but I think it's interesting. I think it's something kind of cool, and everybody. It's one of those things. Everybody kind of does some reviews, even if it's just like, yeah, I like it or I don't like it. That's a very basic. It's an opinion, but it is a review. I mean, So I'll give you a behind the scenes of a maybe a little bit more formalized review. So anyway, that's all I got for you guys. So this has been another sermon from the cigar pulpit. I appreciate your patience. Kiddo is stirring in there on the couch, but it looks like he's just repositioning, which is good. I need to kill this ring light because he's going to look outside and see the blinding light of the sun and wake up. So anyway, guys, this has been another sermon from the cigar pulpit. I'm Nick. Everybody, stay safe and stay smoky. More spice in the final third. It is definitely kind of ramped up in the final third, getting more spice and slight pepper notes to the smoking experience. There's also another kind of like component, almost like a bitterness that's coming into play in that final third too. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm not entirely sure I'm digging the flavor on the final third, but I don't know. I'm gonna give it a little bit more and before I toss it and everything else. But I just wanted to give that little final update. So anyway, thanks guys. Have a good evening.